Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson. Well, earlier, our own Polina had a chance to talk to Dani Johnson. Now, this is quite a story, and following your dreams and staying at it, and her own testimony and her own excitement and energy, I think you'll find to be pretty interesting. So let's join Polina and Dani now as they talk about Dani Johnson's story.
Well, I'm delighted to have back with us Dani Johnson. Dani is an author, speaker, self-made millionaire, and last time she did share her story with us how that at the age of 21 she lost everything. But it only took her 2 years to not only get back on her feet, but become a millionaire. How did she do it? Well, that's what we're talking about today. Starting a business, being an entrepreneur, and just going out there and succeeding in life. Welcome back, Dani.
Thanks so much for having me.
Well, I want to start with some statistics. You did say in one of your shows that half of Americans dream of having their own business, and only 13% actually do it. Why such a low number?
Isn't that tragic? I mean, it absolutely blows my mind. In fact, we did a show yesterday on this very same thing where I actually interviewed 2 of my clients who are entrepreneurs and getting behind the entrepreneurial mindset. And I believe largely it is because we have trained out of the American people and people around the world, but specifically Americans, we've trained out of them their natural entrepreneurial desires. We've covered it up with school, per se, that says, okay, go to school, get a good education, get more schooling, and go get a job. We don't have classes from kindergarten all the way through college teaching the entrepreneurial life and teaching the entrepreneurial mindset, but instead we're just training people to be in jobs instead of thinking about having their own business, thinking freely, creative ideas and things of that nature.
So do you have to possess certain skills and talents, or can anyone be an entrepreneur?
Well, hello. What was I, right? What was I? I was less than the run-of-the-mill person. I grew up on welfare in a violently abusive, drug-infested home. I was terribly, violently, emotionally abused. I was violently, physically abused, sexually abused, all of it. So I didn't have like this natural ability for business. And I have to tell you that most of my clients have not either. Most of our clients that are at DaniJohnson.com, let me tell you about Elizabeth Miller. Okay, she started baking cookies in her kitchen, taking the cookies to the flea market, selling them. That eventually turned into a bakery. Now she owns a pretzel shop and has franchised the pretzel shops, and she's making a ridiculous amount of money and has become financially independent as a direct result of that. Who is Elizabeth Miller? Just this mom with some kids who just thought, I'll make some extra money selling cookies. Come on, man. Really?
So,
no.
So how do you know where to go? Because there are some businesses available that you can join in and kind of become an independent distributor or an independent something, or you just start from scratch. How do you know? How did you know what to do?
I did what was in front of me is what I did. You know, I was desperate. So I didn't have a whole lot of options. I needed to make money. I was tired of being a homeless woman. So I did what was obvious and right in front of me. And what it was is I had purchased a weight loss program because I was 50 pounds overweight the month before I became homeless. And so I thought to myself, I wonder if I could market this product here in this area. And so I called the manufacturer. I set up a licensing thing. I said, what does it take? You know, how can I sell it here? And they basically told me it would cost a lot of money, but I didn't let that stop me. I went and I found customers first and then took all the money that the customers gave me without giving them product yet. And then I took that into a cashier's check, sent it to the manufacturer. The manufacturer then sent me the product because I created a need for their product. Bam, I was in business. You know, so let me go back to your question because I think it's important. Does it take specific skills? Yes, it takes specific skills, but anybody can learn those skills. One of my clients, Kevin, who I interviewed yesterday on my show, you know, where did he start in business? He said, I started when I was 3, 4 years old selling junk at a garage sale with my parents. And then I started a lemonade stand, you know, and then he tells the truth about college. He wanted more beer money, so he started selling a product, somebody else's product online. He got into the internet industry and made $2,000 to $3,000 a month, which was far more than he needed for beer. And by the way, I led this guy to Christ at one of our business seminars. He loves the Lord today and gives most of the profits of his businesses. He has 4 businesses. He gives most of the profits to the orphan and the poor. As an example that we set for our business, 100% of our profits go straight to the poor. So anyway, does it take skill? Yes. But anybody can learn skill. Does it take strategies? Yes, but all humans can learn strategies. We can learn to do anything. And not only that, it's biblical to be in business. It's biblical to succeed in business. And most of us just don't know that. We've just kind of carved out this mediocre path that everybody else is following, not really wondering, hey, is that really the path for me?
Well, as far as business goes, one of the most common excuses I've heard from people not going into something outside their box was that I'm not a salesperson. And I heard you say that if you're alive, you're a salesperson. Pretty much
everybody is. Everybody is. And that's, again, that's what's so sad. And the reason why people say that is because they've had bad salespeople experiences, right? We've all been on the car lot with the guy, you know, God bless him, we love him, but you can smell last night's whiskey and Bud Light on his breath. You can also smell the 3 packs of Camel cigarettes that he smoked yesterday and that he will smoke today. He's the guy that is like badgering us to test drive a car and doesn't have great people skills, doesn't have great relationship skills. We've all had those experiences before. So, but everybody is in sales. A mother sells her son on doing his homework or choosing the apple instead of the Oreo. A teacher sells education. A teacher sells information, sells knowledge. And if the teacher is not good at selling, then their students don't gain the information. They don't get understanding, and they won't do their homework, and they will not succeed. Every single person who got married sold that person to be their spouse. They did a presentation. They prospected the marketplace. They followed up with that prospect, and they sealed the deal. And so everybody is in sales. It's just that most people don't understand the difference between amateur and professional sales. And if you learn the art of professional sales, you will not be a salesperson. You'll not be seen as a salesperson. You will not act, walk, talk like a salesperson. You'll actually be one that helps to create a buying experience for people. People love to buy. They hate to sell. I mean, they hate to be sold. They love to buy, but they hate to be sold. But all of us love to buy. And so it's about learning how to create a great buying experience for people, not badgering people, not heavy-handed closing people, but learn the professional art of creating a win-win situation for people, and people thank you for making a product or a service available to them. And anyone can learn how to do that. Anybody can.
It seems to me that to be a successful salesperson, whether you're a mother or a teacher or a wife, you have to keep in mind your why. Why are you doing this? I want you to talk a little bit about the purpose and how maybe sometimes, maybe even that, if you do have that why set up correctly, you will be successful. Is that one of the keys?
Yes, it is. And, you know, for some people in the beginning, the why is about money. But then, you know, that kind of pretty well loses its purpose. And if we call ourselves believers, man, I'm telling you, the business world is the greatest place to be able to be fishers of men. That's what I've used my business for all these years, leading people to Christ, to the tune of tens of thousands of people we've led to Christ out in the marketplace. We've discipled people in the marketplace, and we've taught them how to make more money, how to find that why, and they're also leading other people to Christ and take the money and use it for a great purpose. And for example, like I said, 100% of our profits, and I'm not on salary for my company. I don't make a dime for what I do with TV, radio, writing books, all our audios, our seminars. I don't take a dime of a salary from it at all. 100% of our profits goes to taking care of the widow, the orphan, the poor, the sick, the kids in the sex trade, the elderly. And that's the power of business. You can use business to change people's lives, to lead them to their Savior, transform their lives with great discipleship by you leading by the example, teaching them that right example, and then teaching them what to do with the money.
So what's the first step? Somebody's watching us right now and okay, I'm ready. I'm going to start that business. What should they do first?
Well, there's lots of different business opportunities that are out there. I think, honestly, the very first thing, if they're ready to start in business now, it's like, what do you have that is around you? Or even there has probably been a friend that has presented a business opportunity to you. Do something. You got to do something. And it's not about finding the right business, because I was not in the right business when I was homeless. I didn't look for the right business. I had something. I had a product that didn't even work for me, honestly, which is also a hilarious story. Okay, but like I said, you know, some people go and they clean houses, and that's their business. Some people do odd jobs. I had a guy that was during, you know, 2008, 2009, the economy was so bad. You know, so he had this idea, you know, I'll become the odd jobs guy. And he went knocking on doors, offering to take out people's trash, fix whatever needs to be fixed, running errands for them. He made 10 grand a month being an odd jobs guy. So he couldn't find a job paying him 10 grand a month, but as a businessman, doing what? Finding a need and filling that need. And so there's so many options that are out there. It's ridiculous how many options there are out there.
There really are. We're going to take a break now, Dani. When we come back, I want to talk about excuses. I want to talk about fears that people have and how we can overcome them. All right? And before the break, I want to give out the website for Dani Johnson. It's DaniJohnson.com. Go visit it. Hi, I'm Paulina, and I work at theDove TV. Did you know that when you support theDove TV, you have a profound impact, not only in our community, but around the world? It's your continued support that takes the inspiration and hope in the programs we produce and makes them available to the thousands of people who are watching these videos online every week. Help bring encouragement and hope to our valley and beyond by making a secure online donation today at our website, thedove.us. All right, we're back, and today we have Dani Johnson on the program. It's always a delight and so much energy that I have, like last time, Dani, I had so many questions and we only went through 4, I think. So today I condensed my list a little bit, but we're talking about a specific topic, so hopefully we can go through it. Starting a business, being an entrepreneur. And now I want to kind of move towards things that stop us from doing that, things that even when we start may become an obstacle. Fear, for example.
Yes.
What do you do with fear?
Yes. You know, what was interesting is the interview that I had on my TV show yesterday with one of our clients, with Elizabeth, who has a franchise of pretzel stores, soft pretzel stores. It was very interesting how she had such a childlike faith. And, you know, the Bible says that that's what we're supposed to have, is a childlike faith. And without faith, it's impossible to please God. And we got to make a choice every day. Are we going to choose fear and bowing down to the little g God of fear? Or are we going to rise up in faith, trusting our Father in heaven to step out with him in the marketplace to provide for our families? Fear does not pay anything into your bank account, but faith will always bring in an abundance into your bank account. So fear is not just for entrepreneurs. It's not just for people who are looking at starting a business. People who are fearful, they choose to be that way every day. People who are faith-filled choose to be that way every day. People who are choose faith-filled are people who obviously encounter obstacles and opposition and rejection and problems and not having enough money and disasters that happen in the marriage or with the kids. Both parties, both populations have the same problems. The one that chooses faith and to walk by faith and training their mind to be faith-filled by taking action and filling your mind with important training so that you can get good at what you want to do, those people are the ones that win. The ones who choose fear stay stuck. They don't do anything, they don't take action, they procrastinate, they're in indecision, and their lives are just nothing but a pile of rubble. You got to make a choice. Which one will you choose? One will lead to great profits, great things that will happen in your life. The other one's going to lead to depression, which is where the enemy wants you.
Now, when you're facing all those obstacles and thoughts come to mind, am I doing something wrong, or is it just God testing me? Is there like a universal answer to that? How do you help people who come to you and say, hey, I've been in my business for a year, no profit, but I don't want to quit because quitters never make it. So what do you say to those people who are just not making it yet?
Yes, I've seen that happen so many times with my clients. I've got hundreds of thousands of clients that are in business and hundreds of thousands of clients that are not in business. Both those things happen in both worlds. Like, am I in the right job, or even am I in the right relationship? Here's the reality, is you've got to look at what obstacles are coming at you. The only reason why the obstacles are there is because you lack a skill to overcome. It's not God. God opens doors that no man can shut. God also closes doors that no man can open. That's pretty crystal clear, is it not? Yeah. So if we're hitting obstacles and we're having opposition, it's only a sign that we're lacking a skill that is necessary to overcome that. For example, let me give you Elizabeth Miller, because it's so fresh in my mind. Elizabeth, that's where she was when she came to First Steps to Success, our training seminar, just like the one happening in Austin, Texas in January. They couldn't afford to come. They had over $200,000 worth of debt. They were failing in that business. And what happened was is that she heard about spirit-driven success, came to the live First Steps to Success, and started learning some new skills. And she found, oh my goodness, this is what I've been missing. Okay, well now, in 2 years, she's paid off $239,000 worth of debt. She has grown and multiplied her one little pretzel store to now multiple pretzel stores and franchising. We're talking making a crazy amount of money. And what was it? And this is what she said. The thing I was missing was the strategic marketing and relationship skills, communication skills. That's what I was missing, and I didn't know it. I thought it was the business fault as to why I was failing, but it wasn't the business's fault. It was my lack of skill of communicating and working with people at the level that I needed to be able to take the business to that level. So it just means that the business is showing you need some new skills, and I cannot think of a better place to go get those skills. Go to DaniJohnson.com. We have trained up hundreds of thousands of people in business, one of which, Sandy. When Sandy came to me, she was attempting to make a business work online, and she was attempting to do it offline and online. She was trying to market a product, had 3,000 people tell her no. She could not get anybody to buy what she was attempting to market. After Sandy had hired me for consulting, had been to many, she's been to 25 First Steps to Success training events. Today, Sandy makes $2 million net profit a year. This woman is known now all over the world, and she's the chief expert in social media today. She's been on every kind of major media outlet that is out there, but this woman, when I met her, was a complete failure in business. She paid off $469,000 worth of debt. In 2 years, she's debt-free. She gives 90% of her income to the poor. So what was it? It wasn't the wrong business. It was the wrong skill. And she had to learn new skills. And it took her a while to learn those skills. And she invested into herself, into the training, into the strategies. And today, the woman is an icon in the business world.
Wow. Wow. There are a lot of stories on your website. I must commend you for all the testimonies that you put there, DaniJohnson.com. If you guys want to be inspired, go there and check those out. Dani, I want to go back to when you were 21 and when you started your business. I always had this question, who did you call? You were homeless.
Yeah.
Who did you call? I mean, yeah. I picture you with the, paid phone.
Payphone. Yep. It's a payphone is what it was. So what I started with is I wrote out this little flyer on a piece of what do you call it? Scratch paper. I found a piece of scratch paper. I wrote out a little advertisement. I had no phone, obviously, and so what was it going to say? Meet me at the coconut tree on the left at 3 o'clock. No, I had no home, I had no phone, and I had no product. So I had to creatively figure out a way through communication skills to be able to create a win-win situation and build trust with my clients. And I talk about that and how to do that in the book. First Steps to Wealth. And I don't know if you know this, sweetie, but this is for free on our website.
Yes.
So they can get a free copy of this. They can download it right now as an ebook. And if they want the physical copy, they can pay the shipping to get it to their house. But it's First Steps to Wealth. But I talk about from day one. Who did I talk to? I ran a flyer. I then got a guy to give me a voicemail number with a check in the mail, right? He didn't make me come down there and give him the check right away, and thank God. And again, that was some of the communication skills that I had learned, and I talk about those communication skills in the book, First Steps to Wealth. And so that was it. I got 25 phone calls in 3.5 hours, and I called the first person back. I messed up that very first call. I had to re-strategize before I got on the second call, and had a 100% closing ratio after that. So, and again, that's what I teach at First Steps to Success. This step by step by step. How do you start from nothing? Not only that, I think it's important to know this. We have built our businesses all through referrals, no advertising. I was just in a room with 850 people in Ohio teaching business and finance and relationships for 3 solid days. When I asked the 850 people, how many of you heard about DaniJohnson.com by a friend? 99% of the hands go up. That was all a personal referral that sent those people to that training seminar. No one is paid for those referrals. There was no advertising that brought those people in. The rest of the 1% of the room was brought in by how? They saw me on Secret Millionaire, or they saw me on Oprah, or they, heard about me through some radio interview or a television interview that I did. 99% of my database is all because of personal referrals. Somebody else who came to our site, got results, and sent their friends to our site, and that's how we've built that business. And so that kind of strategy builds every business, no matter what the economy is, on no budget at all.
A lot of Christians, I think, are a bit afraid of money, or we have a negative view of money. How do you pray for success?
Lord, your will be done. Deuteronomy 8:18 says that God has given us the power to create wealth. Well, study the Bible, and it's going to show you. He actually tells us exactly how to create wealth. And here's the facts. There's been a lot of bad prosperity teaching out there. And that prosperity teaching is actually nothing but selling a lottery ticket. That if you give to my ministry, then God is going to bless your business. Nonsense. You will not find that in the Bible. But the Bible talks about the skill sets. It talks about that skill brings success. The Bible shows us that even with King David in the book of Psalms, where he says that David led Israel with the integrity of his heart and the skillfulness of his hands. There's specific skills that are necessary in order to make money. And when you use those skills, you will make money. And I believe that as Christians, as we make money, we should not fall into the trap of pleasures. We shouldn't be falling the trap of fast cars, big houses, fancy stuff, as I fell in that trap in my first 10 years of making millions. The last 14 years, buddy, we ain't going there. I work and build businesses to give, to help kids come out of the sex trade, to help the orphan, to help the poor, to help the elderly. And so you don't have to be afraid of money if you're making it with integrity and honesty and giving it away. What's there to be afraid of?
And then you look at your life and see how blessed you are. I love your family pictures that you post. That one trip you had was amazing. Before we're out of time, give one advice to people watching right now. What can we include in our daily lives? Maybe a new habit, something that can help us get us on the path to success.
Number 1, start your day with prayer. Pray for your customers, pray for your boss, pray for the clients, pray for your family. Pray, ask God to change you. Have him show you what it is that needs to change inside of you. We should have him reveal to you what are the things that are hindering your life from being what it is that he desires your life to be. Number 2, read the word of the living God every single day. If you call yourself a Christian, then you better be devouring his wisdom, his direction, his knowledge, his understanding. That's how every Christian should start their day. From there, you want to learn how to succeed? Then take a major shortcut and learn daily from people who have the success. You want to succeed in your job, you want to succeed in business, you want to succeed in finances, you want to succeed in your family, then you've got to pour resources into your mind that are biblically based, that can help guide you according to the scriptures how to succeed. And there's one place I know of that you can get that, DaniJohnson.com. Go there for that advice. Listen every day. And I promise you, between you and me and God, you're going to have the greatest success you've ever experienced in your life.
Thank you, Dani, and thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Well, there you go. More energy than one person should be allowed to have, but she's got it all, spreading it around. Hey, we got some great guests coming up next here on Focus Today. Stick around.
Hi, I'm Paula, and I work at theDove TV. Every day we get letters and emails from people who've been encouraged, blessed, and challenged by the programs on theDove TV. But we couldn't do it without you. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to bring inspiration and hope to our community by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us, or call us at 541-776-5368.
Welcome back, and today delighted to have back in the studio with us a good friend, Randy Young, and he's brought with him his new sidekick, Chris Bogosh, is that right?
Bogosh, yes.
Bogosh, okay. And they are both with Living Water Counseling Center here in the Medford area. Good to see you again, Randy. How you doing?
All right, it's great to see you again, Perry.
And
it's
welcome,
been a while.
Chris. Good to see you. You're kind of a transplant recent, huh?
Yes, I am.
From Florida. Mm-hmm. Well, this is where the Lord bought his retirement home. We just want you to know it's in Southern Oregon. So
I saw a bumper sticker yesterday that said, "Welcome to Oregon. Now it's okay to go home."
Oh, well, that's probably an old Tom McCall bumper sticker. Yeah. Good to see you guys. You're getting ready to do your life skills training, the classes of life skills training. What is that, yes, Randy?
Well, life skills is it's a 30-week, 30. It's really long, but it's long because it's so full of great material, and it walks people through the recognition of what is it that's not working well in my life now. A lot of people don't realize what's not going well. They see problems in the people around them, but they don't see how they participate in it. Mm-hmm. So we look at what is it that's going wrong in me now that's interfering with my relationships. Then we go back and we look at the history. Where did this come from? Because the old man is still active in us, even as committed and long-term Christians.
Paul wrestled with that in Romans 7, isn't it?
And he wasn't going to be around a whole lot longer after that, probably.
Yeah.
So well into his walk and as an apostle. So the old man is still active, but the old man is the man that got educated when he was young. Mm-hmm. And so the idea is to go back, look at the old man, identify how he learned and what his worldview is. Mm-hmm. Because the worldview of the old man wants to do things different to the worldview of the Christian man. And then bring that forward and bring the gospel to bear on that old man and put to death the old man and bring to life the new.
Hence generational gaps.
That's right.
Now, Chris, you're not only a counselor, you're a pastor, and you're an author and a publisher.
Yes.
You're quite busy.
Yes, busy.
All right. But your passion is in counseling, I understand, and tell us about your involvement with these classes.
Well, with Living Water, my focus has mostly been on grief, loss, and bereavement and depression counseling. Uh-huh. And the approach that we're taking with life skills and the way that we approach counseling in general is through the framework of a biblical worldview, which really focuses on redemption. Mm-hmm. Ephesians 1:3-14 talks about God's purpose being redemption in Christ. And through the epochs of Scripture, we see creation, fall, salvation, and restoration in Christ. And the way that we approach our counseling methods, I would think, Randy, is entering into this journey with people who are suffering. Mm-hmm. I think that's really what makes Living Water a different counseling approach than other approaches out there. We enter in and engage with people in the brokenness of this world. Mm-hmm. Perhaps it's personal sin, perhaps it's somebody else's sin that hurts that person, or just because the world is sinful. And there's a lot of brokenness in this world. I think the client we have, mm-hmm, where she went to different counselors, her husband was recently murdered. She has 2 small kids, And she went to different counselors, and the company that her husband worked for was paying for the counseling that she could go to. And she went to different counselors, but she chose Living Waters. And we asked her, Living Water, and we asked her why she chose Living Water. And she said, because it's here that I feel like people care for me. It's bearing one another's burdens, as it says in Galatians.
You take on a lot of topics in 30 weeks.
Oh, yes, we do.
And first of all, when and where the classes start? When are you going to start these?
Well, we're taking registrations now,
Okay.
and we'll be starting them in January.
Okay, so what do they do? Call you?
Call Living Water
And that
at
is?
541-840-1924.
All right. 840-1924 if you want to
Yes.
register. And they'll start in January, the 30 weeks, once a week?
Once a week for 3 hours in
Wow.
the evening. It's a very serious program.
Yeah.
People come in and they change. It looks deeply into what the struggles are, and it helps people not only identify it, but actually walks through step by step, breaks it down into small pieces, so that it builds the character inch by inch, rather than trying, okay, here's what you have to become all of a sudden. So that's why it takes time.
I got a couple here. You got Shelter from the Storm, Talking and Listening. Give us a little hint.
Yes, well, Shelter from the Storm is a class for victims of sexual abuse, usually in childhood, but from later. That has such a profound effect on the heart and the soul of a person. Breaks it down because it takes the most holy thing that God gave to husbands and wives, the purity of the marriage bed, and defiles it and breaks it and crushes it. And so it changes the whole psyche, being Greek for soul, and interferes profoundly with the ability to have wonderful and deep intimacy in the marriage bed.
You know, what's interesting about that is that we're hearing now of abuses that were long ago and the effects that happen now in their 40s, 50s, and 60s.
That's right.
I mean, that's when sooner or later it comes to the surface.
That's
doesn't it?
exactly right. Yeah. That's exactly right. People can fake things for an extended period of time, but there comes a point at which the artificiality of the facade that they put on of confidence, or this is great, or this is, people put on a facade, and that disappears after a while.
How do you deal with the person's relationship with God? Somewhere in there, do they really trust Him? They may believe, and they may have accepted Him and gone through all the tenets of the faith, but do they really trust Him? I don't know. Do you want to speak to that?
Well, I think it's a process. Some people, like the Apostle Paul, have that Damascus Road experience and are marvelously converted. Some people are saved, and then there's the growing process, which is called sanctification. That's the technical term, where we die more and more to ourselves and live to God. And at Living Water, it's helping to focus the person on Christ, because the only hope is in the gospel. And, we always want to work things out. We always want to do. But it's really resting. And it's resting in Christ. And, considering Christ and resting in His redemption that He accomplished for us.
Sometimes that's difficult when people have been traumatized, right?
Well, that's the thing, is because, as I mentioned with the victims of sexual abuse, the trauma sets them up to believe a whole set of things that they don't even know they believe. And that's where, in the life skills class, and in all of our classes actually, we help people go back and deal with the false belief, because we have this foundation of what we learned first, and then the gospel comes in on top of that and builds up. But after a while, the weightiness, the heaviness, the glory of the gospel becomes very, very massive and heavy. And then the foundation that's underneath there will end up cracking. And the gospel sort of takes this back seat for a while. And so we have to address people at their core belief system and where that came from. Their worldview has to be continually transformed with the renewing of the mind to become all the way through biblical. Then the faith is experienced more externally as well as internally, and the hope is deeper.
You must be, I guess, surprised or just kind of at awe to see believers live so beneath what they could be, you know. I mean, whatever it is, whatever the thing in their life is, it's got them down. Yeah. They're literally under the circumstances. They're not on top of it.
That's right.
So that's why it takes 30 weeks, I guess, to turn that around.
Well, yes, and one of the reasons is if people are crushed when they're young, they start out down. So some kids are raised in an environment where everything is really biblical. Now that doesn't mean that they're not everything, but where basically a biblically founded home, and they're going to have fewer obstacles to overcome. They're not as deep in the hole as the people who are crushed when they're young. So it's not surprising, but it is sad when people are living beneath the gospel.
Wow. All right. This is all going to take place starting January, what?
Early January. When we have enough people registered, then we will start the class.
All right. Here's what you do. You can go to 541-840-1924. That's 541-840-1924. Get registered for the class. I'm sure there's a cost involved.
Yes.
And it goes for 30 weeks. And how many do you like? How big of a class do you like to get before you go?
We like to have about 10 in the class.
Okay.
And we usually get there pretty quickly. So I would look to start probably second week in January, possibly third or fourth, but probably the second week in January.
All right. If this is kind of resonating with you, give them a call, 840-1924. Tell us somebody that's been radically changed by that.
Oh, let's see.
Without, you know.
Yeah. Well, there's a fellow came in not long ago. I'm going to, if you want to know who he is, take the class because he's going to be teaching the next one, the next men's class.
Okay.
He came in and going through a divorce, or told his wife was going to divorce him, and he just came in and he was weeping. He did not want to lose his wife. He did not want those things to happen. And he would come into class and first night, so we start exposing some of the darkness, some of the stuff that's back there and what's not working, and he'd raise his hand and he'd say, "How do I fix it?" and he must have said that 4 or 5 times in the first class. They said, we're not there yet. It's coming. That's about section 14. So give us some time. And he kept saying that for about the first 6 or 7 weeks. This guy took the class so seriously. He came in between classes and rewatched the videos. Wow. And then he's taken the class again, and he's been trained now to facilitate it.
Well, there you go. Complete turnaround. Gentlemen, thank you. Randy, Chris, good to see you. Welcome to the area. And again, 840-1924, 840-1924. Get signed up, and it'll start in January. I'm sure it'll be life-changing. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Perry.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Daniel, and I work at theDove TV. You know, compared to Portland, Seattle, and LA, Medford might be considered a small market. But at theDove, we're excited about the opportunity to make a big impact right here in our community. And you help make that happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us now by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us, or by phoning 541-776-5368.
Welcome back. Well, we are delighted to have with us today a gentleman whose resume, if I started reading it, it would take up all our time. But let me just say that Frank Wuco is with us today with over 30 years of intelligence experience in all branches and with the Department of Defense. Just recently retired as a Naval Intelligence Officer with 23 years of active duty. And he's here today to give us some insight on ISIS and jihad and terrorism. By the way, he does have a website, Frank Wuco, that's WUCO.com. And I'm sure you can go there and get a lot of information. Hi, Frank. Nice to have you, friend.
Hey, thank you very much for having me.
You bet. And thanks for your service.
Oh, you're welcome. And I actually retired 10 years ago.
Really?
Very recently, 10 years ago. And it seems like it's been 2 months since I retired. It's just the older we get, the quicker time goes.
Wow. Well, thanks for your time, and I look forward to maybe having you back with some more time. But quickly, what's happening? What's the latest with the advance of ISIS in the Middle East?
Well, they continue to advance in all directions, and sort of an omniscient advance, if you will, if you take into consideration that what we've got with ISIS, which is an outgrowth of al-Qaeda, and now the Khorasan army, is really a global cellular movement that is acting out and morphing exactly as was planned by al-Qaeda in the mid to late 1990s. So we've got a global organization which is largely cellular in makeup. That means there's no real centralized command and control. I often hear people say that all we have to do is cut the head off the snake and the snake will die. This is a hydra. If you cut the head off, two or more grow back in its place, and it has really taken on an omnidirectional movement. But as far as ISIS itself goes, they continue to advance to the west and to the north. They just crashed another border position in Syria, and they continue to advance towards Baghdad in the east.
Frank, how vulnerable are we in the United States? I'm sure you've been watching with great interest with Secretary Hagel's resignation. It doesn't seem to be friendly. He obviously realizes now it's a bigger threat than perhaps what policy we may or may not have. But how vulnerable are we?
Well, if you look at the latest threat reports that are coming out this morning, it's actually a continuation of threat reporting that is really targeted towards people like myself, other active duty and former military and federal law enforcement, intelligence type people right here in the United States. Threat streaming continues, with the target being military, active duty, retired, former, and their families right here in the United States. The FBI is certainly taking these threats seriously, and if you look at the vulnerability and the softness of targets like this, it only makes sense that this is where they would try to attack in the United States.
We seem to be complacent. We're aware of it. We are concerned about it, but we don't seem to be taking any strong measures to protect ourselves here in the United States. What's your thoughts on that?
It's alarming that we have come this far in how seriously we regard threats like this, not only at home, but abroad. When you consider we faced a much newer threat and actually an ideology not 1 century ago when we took on Nazi Germany in World War II. This is a threat that has much greater global presence. Right now, they don't have the standing military force or the industrial might that, say, Nazi Germany did in World War II. But the will and the size of the threat of militant and political Islam is astounding. And I don't know what it's going to take for the lights to come on in this country and throughout the world that this is a very real existential threat.
It appears that this administration, the current administration, is not taking it seriously either. Called it junior varsity. Doesn't seem to have any aggressive plan to push it back. What's your thoughts on what policy or what lack of policy we have in the United States?
Well, there is a mental barrier and a willful barrier when it comes to the belief structure, the personal belief structure of Barack Obama and the people that he has surrounded himself with. These are people who for decades have believed that Islam and Islamic forces, Islamic nations, Muslim people were largely the victims of tarnished and corrupt American foreign policy. This is the way they view the entire world condition as we're all suffering as a result of failed or corrupt U.S. foreign policy. And it doesn't dawn on them that these threats and the human condition existed well before the United States ever became a nation, let alone our 20th century foreign policy. So these are people who cling to an ideology that sees the world view through a single lens, and that is through the lens of a single corrupting influence, maybe two if you include Israel, but that single corrupting influence being the United States and Western nations.
That is scary. What is the general feel within the military about this president and his lack of whatever in protecting the United States?
There's a very deep degree of frustration within the military and within my connections within the military and Department of Defense, people who remain on active duty. And there's an equal amount of confusion as to what the military's actual role is when you are dealing with a commander-in-chief who, by and large, puts front and center the United States as the chief antagonist in most of the world's problems and issues. So, it's a military that from the top down continuously has to plan as though, again, U.S. foreign policy is the primary culprit in most of these problems. And it's also one that, has to plan with a commander-in-chief who's hesitant to use overwhelming military force against an institution and an entity that he has long, for decades, held as superior in its formation and in theology than Western Christian Judeo foundations.
Wow. Is it true that there's been a pretty much of a mass firing in the military of even high-ranking officers within the last year or so?
In the last couple of years, there have been an extraordinary number of general and flag level officers that have been dismissed, fired, let go for a number of infractions. Some of them have been quite serious. I mean, some of them have involved, some disciplinary infractions that will, routinely, regardless of the administration, see a general or flag level officer let go.
Right.
Others have just been very, very, marginal and at the fringes of what we would typically see an officer fired for.
I only got about a minute left. Benghazi, your thoughts on Benghazi? It looks like it's going to continue to be an issue. The investigation is going to continue to go on. Do you have any insight what happened there?
Well, there was a series of what happened in Benghazi that led to the September 11th attacks there a couple of years ago. And most of them are right beneath the surface. As my friend Catherine Herridge from Fox likes to say, there's 15% of the story that remains to be seen. And it is the most ghastly 15% of the story that the public has not yet heard. Wow. But there were a number of breakdowns in the system and a number of things that went wrong that should not have gone wrong under any circumstance. And I think Mike Rogers really put his good old boy law enforcement hat on before he put the interest of the nation hat on when he delivered that report a couple of Fridays ago. Wow. Very disappointing.
Yeah, I could see where it would be. All right, Frank, you have a website, Frank Wuco, WUCO.com. What can people get there?
Well, right now, I must tell you, I'm embarrassed to say it's grossly out of date. We had it sort of hibernating for a while, just brought it up, and we're going to start adding content. I'm a former media guy myself, had a couple of radio talk shows that I kept the website active for, but people keep asking for content, so we're going to deliver. So,
hey, thanks for your time. Sorry it was so short initially, but we'll have you back. Thanks again for your service, and let's stay in touch, okay?
Anytime. Thank you very much.
All right, blessings on you. All right, we'll see you next time on Focus Today.
Hi, I'm Jim and I work at theDove TV. Every weekday between 6 and 8 a.m., our award-winning news and sports team bring you the best morning show around. It's live, it's honest, and it's a whole lot of fun. And you help make it happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to air local programs that share your voice by making a secure online donation at our website, theDove.us.